And hello once again, this is Splattercat with our next LP of Tropico 4. And I actually have the modern times enabled on this one, so we'll see what that entails. I actually recently purchased that expansion. Don't really know what it's going to add. I'm going to give the game a second here because I just loaded it up and it tends to chug in the early game. I don't know whether it's loading assets or what it's doing, but I'm going to give it a couple seconds to do its thing, and we're going to take a look. Our funds are a little limited because we did build 2 tenements, but that's just to get rid of some of the bunkhouses. I do want to kind of gather all of my citizenry into larger tenement buildings for now. And I am going to go to food and resources here, and I think we do have enough money for now to build a logging camp, and I would like to keep it away from this little area right here. We generally want to avoid this little nasty area. And we're gonna go... Actually, I think that's a good spot for it right there. And we're gonna go ahead and start the game up. Make sure all of our citizenry is doing what they need to be doing. We do have some shack houses still. Those should vanish as we get our tenement buildings up and running. So we're just gonna sit here. There goes our little truck. It's probably gonna dump some workers here. They're gonna finish this tenement building. And then I'm going to get rid of these corn farms once I have replacement papaya farms built, because corn farms just kind of suck. I just generally dislike them and don't like to use them. So, and there's our first tenement. It is up and running, which puts us in a good situation. And they should get going building the second tenement. If you're new to the game, you can somewhat affect the order of construction by going over here. You can stop construction, and each of these buildings is a little larger. That's where you want it to be in terms of your construction priorities. So buildings marked with the 3rd level will get built first, and so forth as you go down. So these would be the least priority, these would be the most priority, which can be useful if you're trying to stamp out something quick for a mission. If you've got a particular faction that's like, hey, F you if you don't build this building, you can kind of use that to get that building up and running and control that. We did get a new immigrant, so that's good. We're about to drop below where we want our happiness to be, though, so we may end up with rebels pretty soon. Hopefully someone comes over here and builds the logging camp, because we do see a freighter left with no exports on board. We do need to get some exports going so that we can start making money on a regular basis. Freighter ships right here, there goes one right there. Freighter ships show up, and if you look right here, it'll say what your export resources are, so that's the amount. I assume it's the tonnage, and that's how much money you're going to get the next time a ship comes into port. You want this number to be really, really high, and same with the export revenue. You want those to be ridiculously high. I've gotten upwards of, I think, $150,000 to $200,000 in one shipment before, and that's really where you want to be. You don't want to have money issues in this game, but if you do have money issues, it brings us to our next point. This is the edicts menu. As a dictator, you can make edicts, and those actually have a number of things. So for here, we can construct an aid camp, and this is going to piss off the nationalists, but the aid corps camp brings us free food and free money. So it's free, and since we're early on in the game right here, I'm going to test out this feature. I've never used one of these before. Most of my experience with this game has been with Tropico 3, and since the games are ridiculously similar, I figured I could jump into Tropico 4 without any hitches. And thus far, I'm pleased to say that I've been right. Our tenants, are these houses free? Is that why they're not moving in? Okay. So I don't know why my citizenry is insisting on living in those buildings, but that's fine, we'll deal with it for now. We do have some cars running around. Our construction office is working at sweatshop paces. You can click up here for most jobs. You can click up here and change the way they do their job. That works with almost every building. But for now, we're just going to leave everything at the default because we don't even have our infrastructure up and running. We're playing a bit of a waiting game for this early portion, and now our happiness has dropped below 40, so our chances of rebellion are going up. Our religious quality is low, so we do want to deal with that. Our liberty is really low. Liberty is not something we're going to really be able to deal with too soon, so hopefully that doesn't end up dinging us in the long run. Our housing quality is kind of poopy at the moment, but we're a third world country at the moment. So, I think what I'm going to focus on is what I can fix, and we just got some money, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build a church. So I think that's under this menu right here. We don't have enough to build a cathedral, but we do have enough to get your basic church running. So we're going to sit that church down right there, and hopefully it gets built very shortly. I think all this was counted as fertile before when I was looking at it. Okay, maybe not, maybe not. We are going to look at papaya though. And so I'm thinking, what about sugar? Okay. So it looks like for our infrastructure, we're going to want to break off right about here in both directions. And we're going to want to keep a large portion of our plantations kind of restricted to, let me look at that, overlay one more time. So we can go this side of the road right here. I'll probably put a papaya farm, so we'll do that. Where's my papaya farm? We're going to select the papaya farm and put it right here. I like to keep everything kind of segmented so it actually looks like a real city. I don't like to have farming going on in the middle of my city. It seems to be a little strange. This should feed my citizenry for the foreseeable future until we get our monetary resources up and running. Now, we do have a church built now. And you can see we have a priest who has come and worked here, but we do need some more. So we're going to go ahead and control-click right here to automatically just import a foreign worker, since we don't have any educated population at the moment to fulfill that need. And we do need to get our religious needs taken care of. And I don't think one priest is going to cut it. We're going to need one or two more. I'm going to go with one for now, and we're going to see how that turns out for us. The service quality is 60 with one. I think it should jump up to 80 for two. And that should keep us in the black in terms of our religious services. Our tenements are going unlived in, which I think we can resolve by destroying a couple more bunkhouses and get rid of some of these shanties. So you can just go ahead and blow up shanties with impunity and nothing bad happens. We don't have the money right now to knock out these bunkhouses as much as I would like to. So we're going to leave those up and running, and hopefully, there we go, now there's people actually living in these. So people should flock to these because they're the same price as the bunkhouses, but the housing quality is higher, so people should jump into these pretty quickly. Our farm has not been touched yet. I want to keep... We add another foreign expert, which is good, because we do need... Actually, that may be the one I ordered. Oh, never mind. So we are full up. Our service quality is doing okay here. And hopefully, yes, our happiness is now rising. Our religious quality is going up. It takes a little bit of time, so if things don't happen at the pace you want them to, don't worry, things will swing up. Almost everything in this game has a bit of a cooldown in that once you build it, in terms of farms, in terms of churches, it takes a year or so for them to actually be profitable for you. We do have some extra money, but I'm a little loath to spend it at the moment. I am, I think, going to build another tenement housing here. And that's going to get us as close to bankrupt as I would like to be. We have about $8,000 left. Our trucks are going to come out here. We did export goods this quarter, though, which is good. We did make some money. I don't know if it credited the money to our account yet. Let me take a look here. So we are not in the black. We are still in the red. We're losing money every year, but foreign aid hopefully will soften that blow along with what we're getting from our aid camp. Aid camp is removing our need to actually feed our citizenry, which is really good. Our happiness seems to be stable at 39 for now. And our papaya farm is being worked. You should be able to see little workers going out and making papaya groves fairly shortly. I think... Well, I'm going to wait until they plant the papaya groves and we'll see how much space we have.
Peace and love, dear
we have an
Presidente.
event.
Please accept this flower wreath as a gift and hear my plea.
So they want us to stop cutting the trees and digging the soil. We could get ourselves into trouble here because a large proportion of our factions are environmentalists. But communists like us too, so we've got a 50-50 split between the communists and the environmentalists as our main people. We could get ourselves into trouble in the near future, but we do need the revenue from logging for now. We just can't go without it, so the environmentalists are just going to have to deal. I am going to go ahead and build another farm. I'm going to go ahead and build another papaya farm back here, and it'll kill off these trees. Hopefully I can deforest. I think I can deforest with demolish? No? Let's see here. Let's see if I can remember how to deforest effectively. I think you can just use roads, actually, which is what I've done in the past. And there we are. And then we can go back to infrastructure and take that and demolish that road, and that's going to give us a little more space for the papaya farm. I'm hoping that this is not the papaya farm down here. If this is the papaya farm, they have made the farm far from where they should have. So I'm going to go ahead and, maybe due to the fact that there's a lot of trees here, we're going to go ahead and just get rid of as many trees as possible around our farming area with my road technique. There may be an easier way to do it, but roads seem pretty effective at it. And we're going to demolish that now, so we've got a nice little cleared space. I don't know if it'll... No, it won't let me demolish what they've already got built, so that's fine. We're not going to worry about it too much. Our happiness is just on the edge of where we want it to be. It's a little low, but it's pretty close to being safe. Like 40% is pretty much the safe zone. Nobody is living in that tenement building yet, so we are going to go ahead and demolish the rest of these bunkhouses, because they're the same price and they give inferior... Oh, what I do like anyways, they give inferior growth possibilities. They give inferior housing possibilities. Our city is growing corn right next to the governor's mansion, or El Presidente's mansion. That's not something that I like. Looks like everybody's getting foreign aid. Everybody's doing what they need to be doing. What's our exports looking like? It looks like we're going to make $3,000 from our next export, which is not a ton. But they are trucking things out. What you'll notice is these little guys with wheelbarrows run in here, and as they run in with wheelbarrows, the number goes up. So everything is very visual and interactive. You can see what's going on with each of your little buildings. And trucks are moving. And as I hoped, they are planting papaya now in that little space that I cleared out. We do have another papaya farm here, so hopefully that'll get built up so we can destroy those corn farms and just get rid of them. And then from there, we can start planting sugar, which is going to be our first luxury, which really should start bringing in a lot of money, which when you're flush with cash, it makes it a lot easier to adapt to the needs of your society. So if people are pissed off at you, there's nothing better you can do than just throw cash at them in terms of like what buildings they want, in terms of what services they want. You can just basically make it rain and it makes your problems go away. For now though, we aren't really seeing that as an option. So this export freighter, as you can see, our revenues have gone down. There it goes. And that money is added to our treasury. So we haven't gotten foreign aid in a little bit, but they did knock down those tenement housings, which is good. Our church services are slowly going up. So you can see we've gone up 14% for building a church. I think I do... Well... So we are going to go ahead and say infrastructure, not an electric substation. We don't even have a power plant yet. We don't need that. We're going to demolish these corn farms, because I just don't like corn farms being so close to my residential center. It makes us look shabby. It makes us not look like a real country. So I'd like to have some kind of zoning going on. There's no bonus or anything like that for zoning your city properly, but aesthetically it just makes me happy. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Things kind of unfold slowly in this game, so this may be a bit of a watch and see let's play. It's a game that I really do enjoy though, so I really wanted to showcase it and kind of show people how I like to start out my game and some of the basic things. Oh, our happiness dropped again. Some of the basic things that you need to look for in the early game, so if you're new to the game. Our happiness dropped. I don't know why. Our religious quality is still going up. Our housing is the next thing we need to shore up. I would really like to get some nice apartment buildings in, but I think we need to buy those. We don't have them yet. So an apartment block is going to cost us $7,000 altogether. But I think in terms of the long run, it's going to be our best option. And I can never tell if I'm placing this building backwards. I think that's the way in. There we go. And we're going to put that right up next to the road, and hopefully that'll raise our housing by a bit. I think they charge $3 a month for that housing, the apartments, and it's going to make our population a little happier. And since that seems to be what's dropping the most, we're going to go with that. Liberty, I'm really disappointed with Liberty right now. I think that's just because of the KGB start. Usually Liberty's a lot higher. It looks like we've got all of our farms up and running now, so I am going to use infrastructure to start knocking over those trees and these trees. And then I'm just going to demolish them once again. And you'll correct me in the comments if there is an easier way to perform that task. But that's the most efficient way that I've seen to finish that statement. They are planting a little bit across the street. That's not something I'm going to concern myself with too much. I can't just run it over with roads. This papaya farm is going to be really lucrative. This is a really sizable papaya farm. But as you can see, if you look at any building, it'll say what it made in 1952 and what it's made in its lifetime. This number will slowly even out, so don't panic if your building is only a year old and you're in the red. It takes a little bit for them to get into the black. No one has come and demolished this second corn farm yet, but we're not going to panic too much about it. They are building our next apartment building. So far we haven't had any coups, which is fantastic. We do need to start watching out for coups as this goes along. Rebels are going to start coming in from the jungles if we don't get our happiness up a little higher. Other concerns, we do want to get an educational system in place. If your society has no education, and there it is.
Do you know that your advisor, Penultimo, spells his name with not one, not two, but 5 typos? All intellectuals agree that it is high time we build a high school on our island.
So there is a demand now for education, which is going to be really our first stair step to becoming a modern country. We are going to go ahead and build a grade school because we do have the money, and an educated populace means you don't have to import people from other countries to do your jobs. So you can get a grade school education here, which primes you for a high school education, which primes you for a college education. So you want all 3 buildings, and once you have all 3 buildings, you can actually start stocking your country with their own gentry, their own educated, kind of astute, liberal masses. So that may not be the right word, because there are educated conservatives as well. That seems to be a bit of a generalization on my part. I guess what I'm looking for is just an educated, genteel population. Gentle population, I guess, not genteel. That's a mispronunciation. But anyways, before I get bogged down in semantics here, hopefully this building will start attracting people. At least somebody will move in. I am going to lower the price to $2 a month just to make sure somebody moves in. It's always, when you set the rent values, it's a balance between how much money certain people are making. So basically they won't move in there if they can't afford to be there. Every single one of these citizens has their own salary. So here you're probably going to see our educated population move in. Our priests, people that are working in our military right now are probably going to move in here. It takes some time though. Hopefully they'll move out of these tenement blocks. And yeah, there we go. You just saw a bunch of people moved out, and they probably moved in here. And so we should see our housing quality start to raise over the next little bit. It's at 29. And I think this is where I'm going to cut off this Let's Play. This has been episode 2 with Splattercat. If you like the videos, please feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. It does help me keep creating the videos. And I will see you in episode 3.